Alright, welcome back, good people. On this video, I'm going to talk about, I'll call these questions that she would ask. Now remember, we're talking about relationship questions today. This, again, is on the personal development side of my videos. So, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, or I'm going to share a series of statements, and you tell me whether or not you would agree that these are questions that she would ask. The first one goes kind of like this. When did you first realize you wanted to be with me? Now, that question is based on you meeting a female and she sharing with you a series of questions about how she feels or what she's thinking, right? So, if she was to ask you that question, men, what would your response to that be? When did you first realize you wanted to be with me? See, that's an interesting question because sometimes people will say, when I first saw you. Sometimes people's response will be, well, I didn't really realize that. I didn't know I wanted to be with you until, we went out on a date or whatever. Whatever the case may be, that's going to vary for people, right? And that's going to matter for the woman, I guess. Maybe it won't. Right? Because relationships are so difficult. That's why I like to talk about them. Sometimes things that make sense make no sense. And sometimes things that make no sense make all the sense in the world. All right? The next question is, are you looking for commitment? Now, these are questions that she will ask you, guys. Are you looking for a commitment? Do you agree with that or not? I'll tell you one thing. If you're over 30, and she asks you that question, know that she wants you to be in a committed relationship, not just a relationship. The third question is, what was your first impression of me? Now that's a good question. What was your first impression of me? Because a lot of times men, we're very visual, and I believe that the reason we approach women is because of the visual, not because of they look like they're smart, or they look like they would raise children well, or they a good cook. I think it's the visual, and we either like the visual or we're okay with the visual, But I know from my perspective, initially it's the visual, and I don't think I'm that much different from most men. Maybe I am. But the next question says, would you surprise me with an expensive gift, or would you consult me before spending the money on that gift? Well, I'm the type of person that would surprise you with the gift. I'm not really needing your cosign for that, because I don't think if it's something I have to pass through you, it's a gift. I don't think that way. Why would I think that way? Why do I need your permission to give you this? If I feel a certain way and that's what I want to do, that's what I feel like I should be able to do. Now you don't have to take it, but I don't need your permission to give it to you. But that's just my opinion. The next question says, would you rather be good in the kitchen or good in the bedroom? Now, these are questions that she's asking you guys. No. I'd say, not the kitchen. All right, next question. What do you think is more admirable, a stay-at-home mom or a career-driven woman? I think that all depends on the female. All depends on the lady. Because some women love raising children. Some women feel like that's what they want to do. That's their job. And then you have those career-driven women. I'm really attracted to those. Personally, I like you to have your own too. You're your own person. We all contribute. We all have our own input to life. And if your input to life is just what I supply you with, and you're not really using your mind or your abilities or your talents on other things, I really kind of have an issue with that. That's not really a win-win for me when it comes to a mate like that. The next question, would you rather leave a big impact on the world or a big impact on your family? Big impact on your world. Now she's asking you this, guys. I know, your mind went someplace else, right? This is a female asking a male, would you rather have a big impact on the world or a big impact on your family? The next question, what song do you think best fits our relationship? Wow, good question. And that's after you've been in a relationship, of course. But what is that length of time? 3 months, 6 months, 8 months? What 2 weeks? What is that length of time that she can ask you that question and you can relay that back in a way that makes sense, right? Because you kind of have to think about what you've done. Like a lot of times when you go, like if you go to the movies, if you go to dinner, if you're driving in the car, just wherever you're going, songs will come on and you guys will both like that song, or things like that. And then you'll say, that's our song right there. We're going to call that our song. I've done that. I think that's cool. But that's how that works. The next question is, do you think a proposal should be a grand public display or a private, intimate moment? Aren't these good questions? These are very good questions when you think about this is the lady asking the guy that, right? Because most guys probably don't get that until it's time for the marriage or until it's time for that type of, input in life, right? So if you have someone who would be asking you these type of questions, it would put something different in your mind, being the guy, as far as, how we move things forward, right? I believe it would. Okay, another question is, what is something you appreciate about me? What is something you appreciate about me? Again, this is the lady asking the guy. That should be a very quick thing to come up with, right? Because if you're around a person for a period of time, not even a long period of time, you're going to understand that person. You're going to understand that person's ways. You're going to understand that person's mannerisms. You're going to understand that person's dialogue. You're going to understand a lot about that person. And some things you're going to like and some things you're not. That's the way it works. The things you don't like, you can kind of adjust to. But the things you like, you can really, kind of give credence to that. I like when she does that. That really makes me feel a certain kind of way, right? Remember, these are relationship questions. And I'm a business person. I talk about business. But from time to time, I like to share relationship information that I've gained from the research that I've done. And that's what I'm doing with this week's videos. Hope you guys are enjoying these questions. And don't forget to share these questions with some people along your journey. Don't forget to like these videos, because that's how we make the internet work for us, right? When we put these videos out, or audios, or podcasts, or whatever we do, we need your participation. That's right. We need you to give us applause in the form of a like or a share. That's how this whole thing works. Anyway, the next question is, what do you think are 3 things we have in common? Another good question. Another good question. I love that question. What would that be for you if you have a mate that you've been with for, I'm going to say a short period of time. Let's say 90 days. That's long enough to know. What 3 things would you guys have in common? The next one, what are the biggest differences between us? Another good question. I love that. What are the biggest differences between us? Let's see, what would be some of the answers to that? Well, I'm an early riser and you like to sleep late. Well, you like to leave the top off the toothpaste, right? You can fill that blank with a lot of different tangibles, right? You always pull the seat back on the car when you're driving. I don't like that. You leave the stool up on the bathroom. Yeah, there's a list of things like that. Okay, another one is there anything in our relationship that you think we need to work on? is there anything in our relationship that you think we need to work on? That's a good question to ask regularly. You know, at least every quarter, maybe every 6 months, depending on how close you guys are. You know, I think that was a good question to ask right there, because if you're honest with the relationship and you're honest with your mate, you're not going to be offended by that at all, and you probably will welcome it. You probably will appreciate it, right? You probably be, okay, well, you know, he or she is thinking about, you know, what I'm feeling and how I'm going through this, right? Because if I'm having a problem or issue and I'm not really addressing it, I'm not really saying nothing, but it's just kind of over and over happening, it's going to fester over time and it's going to build up. And then something else is going to happen. It's going to cause you to break, right? You know, you don't want that if you can avoid that. The final one is, what's something you could never compromise about? What's something you could never compromise about? Interesting. I would say sharing my mate. We could never agree with that one. That wouldn't be a deal. That wouldn't work for me. But you may have a different one, or you might have the same. I don't know. There's quite a few, I guess, people can come up with. When you look at the word compromise, what does that mean for you? Anything else, pretty much in a relationship, I'm a giver. I'm that type of person. So I don't really look at relationships so much to take. That's why it's kind of difficult for me to sign you up, because I'm a giver and I expect to be given, but not because I'm giving, but because I expect you to be that way too. All right, don't forget to like these videos, share these videos, and I'll see you on the next video.